Welcome to AI TV News. On Friday, September 19, 2025, President Donald Trump signed a proclamation imposing an annual fee of $100,000 on companies that sponsor foreign workers under the H-1B visa program. The change takes effect at 12:01 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time on Sunday, September 21st. First, a quick refresher on H-1B visas. For decades, they have allowed U.S. employers to hire foreign professionals for specialized roles: software engineers, scientists, doctors, and more. The program is capped at 65,000 visas each year, with an additional 20,000 reserved for workers who hold U.S. master's degrees or higher. Until now, employers paid only a few $1,000s in filing and training fees. The new fee of $100,000 represents a jump of more than 2,000%. It applies to new applications, extensions, and even to current H-1B holders who leave the country and return after the deadline. Employers, not workers, must pick up the bill. Why such a drastic increase? The proclamation argues that some companies systemically abuse the program, replacing American workers with cheaper foreign labor. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick says the administration wants firms to train Americans rather than bring in people to take our jobs. By pricing out routine use of the visa, officials believe only the most indispensable talent will still be sponsored. The proclamation also cites national security concerns, alleging fraud by certain outsourcing firms. The business reaction was swift. Tech giants that rely heavily on H-1Bs urged employees abroad to fly back before the deadline. Stocks of IT services companies such as Infosys and Wipro fell sharply. Critics warn the move could stifle innovation, hurt startups that can't afford the fee, and push research overseas. Former NIT Aayog CEO Amitabh Kant predicts the policy could choke U.S. innovation and turbocharge India's. Legal experts are weighing in. Aaron Reichlin-Melnick of the American Immigration Council notes that Congress only authorized fees high enough to cover processing costs. Some scholars have labeled the proclamation ludicrously lawless and expect immediate court challenges. Supporters counter that the program has long depressed wages for domestic workers and that higher costs will force firms to invest in American talent. They see the fee as a necessary correction, not a punishment. Adding to the shakeup, President Trump also signed an executive order creating a gold card, offering a path to permanent residence for anyone willing to pay $1 million. That, too, is expected to face legal scrutiny. So where does this leave companies, workers, and the broader economy? The tech sector fears a brain drain as employers relocate jobs rather than pay the fee. Startups and mid-sized companies that rely on specialized skills but lack deep pockets could be hit hardest. If the courts issue an injunction, the policy could be paused. If not, the Sunday deadline stands. In short, the $100,000 H-1B fee marks one of the most dramatic shifts in skilled worker immigration policy in decades. Supporters hail it as a bold step to protect American jobs. Opponents see it as a self-inflicted wound to the nation's innovation engine. With lawsuits looming and the clock ticking toward Sunday, the ultimate fate of the proclamation and of thousands of workers remains uncertain. Thank you for watching AI TV News. A Kenyan athlete and father travels to Moscow, believing it's the opportunity of a lifetime. Instead, he finds himself on the front lines of a war, forced to fight for a foreign army. This is the story of Evans Kibet, a man who says he was duped into joining the Russian military and sent to Ukraine. His journey reveals a dark and growing strategy in modern warfare: the recruitment of foreign nationals through deception and coercion. Evans Kibet is a 36-year-old long-distance runner from Kenya. Like many athletes, he dreamed of competing on the international stage. So when an opportunity arose for what he was told was a tourist trip to Russia to run in a race, he took it. His family believed he was heading to Moscow for a short visit, but the trip took a turn as his visa was about to expire. According to Kibet, his sports agent presented him with an offer for a good job that would allow him to stay in Russia. He was given documents to sign, all of them in Russian, a language he doesn't understand. He says he was simply shown where to put his signature. Only later did he discover he had signed a military service contract. Immediately after, his passport and phone were taken away. When he realized he had been enlisted in the Russian army and tried to refuse, the choice was made clear to him: fight or be killed. Kibet's experience highlights a disturbing pattern of alleged human trafficking and exploitation, where the vulnerable, seeking economic opportunities, are tricked into becoming soldiers. His preparation for war was minimal and chaotic. Kibet reports receiving only 1 week of military training. The instruction was limited to the basics of handling an assault rifle. The trainers didn't speak English, resorting to physical force to communicate. This lack of preparation suggests these foreign recruits are not seen as valuable soldiers, but as expendable cannon fodder, sent to the most dangerous parts of the front line to spare more highly trained Russian troops. Deployed to the Kharkiv region in Ukraine, near the town of Vovchansk, Kibet saw his chance. At the first opportunity, he escaped. For 2 days, he wandered through a forest before surrendering to Ukrainian soldiers. He says they treated him humanely. In a video later released by the Ukrainian 57th Motorized Brigade, a tearful Kibet pleads not to be sent back to Russia, fearing he will be killed. Evans Kibet's story, while shocking, is not an isolated incident. It is a personal window into a much larger global recruitment drive by Russia to supplement its forces in the war against Ukraine. Ukrainian intelligence suggests Russia is actively recruiting in at least 21 countries, targeting individuals from Africa, Asia, and Latin America. The methods used are varied and often predatory. Some, like Kibet, are lured with false promises of civilian jobs. Others face direct coercion. There are reports of Russia threatening not to extend the visas of African students and young workers unless they agree to join the military. Some foreign nationals with work visas have reportedly been detained and given a stark choice: deportation or deployment. For others, the incentive is financial. In countries where economic opportunities are scarce, the offer of a significant signing bonus and a monthly salary of around $2,000 can be a powerful motivator. Russia has also simplified the process for foreign fighters and their families to obtain Russian citizenship, offering another powerful incentive. The presence of African nationals in the Russian army is growing. Besides Kenya, citizens from Togo, Senegal, Sierra Leone, Uganda, Rwanda, and Congo have been identified among Russian forces captured in Ukraine. It's not just men being recruited. Women from African nations have also been drawn in, sometimes under the guise of work-study programs, only to find themselves working in factories that produce weapons and drones for the war. Beyond Africa, Russia has found recruits in other parts of the world. Significant numbers have come from Cuba and Nepal. Ukrainian officials claim thousands of Cubans are fighting for Russia. However, this strategy is not without its problems. The government of Nepal has stated that its citizens have deserted the Russian army in large numbers, citing extremely high casualty rates and harsh treatment. The case of Evans Kibet puts the Kenyan government in a difficult position. Kenya has officially condemned Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The capture of its citizens on the battlefield will likely increase diplomatic pressure. For now, Kibet remains a prisoner of war, a victim of a deceptive scheme that turned his athletic dreams into a wartime nightmare. His story is a stark reminder of the hidden human cost of conflict, where the war extends far beyond the battlefield, pulling in unsuspecting individuals from around the globe. Welcome. The relationship between the U.S. military and the press is entering a new chapter. The Pentagon has unveiled rules that sharply limit how journalists can gather and report news inside its walls. Here's what the policy says, why officials argue it is necessary, and why many reporters call it a threat to press freedom. First, the pledge. Any journalist seeking Pentagon credentials must now sign a 17-page agreement promising not to obtain, share, or even possess information the Department of Defense has not expressly cleared for public release. The ban covers classified and unclassified material alike. Refuse to sign, or be caught with unofficial documents, and your credentials are revoked, shutting you out of the building. Movement inside the building is narrowing too. For decades, credentialed reporters could roam most unclassified hallways, striking up spontaneous conversations with civilian and uniformed personnel. Those informal chats often revealed internal debates, procurement delays, and troop welfare issues that never made it into official briefings. Under the new system, escorts will be required for many of the same corridors, including those leading to the offices of the Secretary of Defense and the Joint Chiefs. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth summed it up on social media. Quote, "The press doesn't run the Pentagon. Wear a badge and follow the rules or go home." Unquote. These limits cap a series of escalating steps. Earlier this year, several long-standing news bureaus were evicted from their workspaces and replaced by other outlets more recently credentialed. Direct phone and email contact with senior military officials has also become harder to secure. All of this unfolds against another symbolic shift. By executive order, the Department of Defense has been renamed the Department of War, the title it carried from 1789 to 1947. President Trump says reviving the old name projects strength and resolve. So why now? Pentagon spokespeople frame the policy as a matter of national security and troop safety, noting that similar rules apply at other U.S. bases. All information, they say, should be vetted before release. Critics see a different motive: narrative control. The Pentagon Press Association calls the pledge a direct attack on the freedom of the press, pointing out that even after the September 11th attacks, reporters maintained broad access without jeopardizing security. Journalists warn that the agreement could turn them into independent observers, into distributors of government-approved talking points. Any story the Pentagon dislikes could be branded unauthorized, triggering credential revocation and silencing dissenting voices. The National Press Club argues that limiting access erodes public trust rather than protecting secrets. For the public, the stakes are high. When watchdog reporting is curtailed, oversight of military policy, spending, and operations weakens. The risk is that citizens receive only the version of events the government wants them to hear, blurring the line between journalism and public relations. The new rules are set to take effect within weeks as current credentials come up for renewal. Reporters will soon face a choice:
sign the pledge and work under tighter controls, or lose access to the heart of America's newly renamed Department of War. Either way, the flow of information between the military and the public is about to change in a fundamental way.